Hi everyone, in today's video I will be reviewing and trying on the new HD Skin Essentials palette by Makeup Forever. I am so excited. I've heard so much about this palette, so many rave reviews, and so many claims that Makeup Forever has made about this palette, but the inner skeptic in me still finds it hard to believe that I can get my foundation, my blush, and my bronzer all in one palette and not miss any of those things. I've even heard that you can use it as a concealer and an eyeshadow. In this review, I'm going to try on this palette and sample all of the shades for you. I'm also going to let you know at the end of the video my opinion on this palette and if you can truly get all that you need in this all-in-one palette. Is it worth the money or is it something you should pass on? Stay tuned. So I'm starting out completely moisturized. I have my under eye serum on as well as a cream moisturizer, and I'm going to apply my primer right now. And it's the Bobbi Brown Primer plus Mattifier. I love this primer, especially if you have a tendency towards large pores or combination skin. It's very, very good for that. I personally have dry skin that leans more towards combination, and I love how this primer actually sinks right into the pores, makes for a more smooth surface on your skin. I do love silicone based primers, and this is definitely one of those. Okay, now as you can see, I definitely haven't color corrected yet, and color correction is my new favorite thing to do. I'm going to go ahead and use the Faux Filter Color Corrector by Huda Beauty. This is the best color corrector I have found for my type of corrections I need for my skin. So I will go ahead and use it sparingly to my under eyes, to around my nose, a little bit on my cheeks, and around my mouth. And with this, you always just want to do a little less than you think you need because the cream formula spreads out so nicely that you don't need much of it. I've noticed that the apricot color, this color, and the orange color, they both work really well for most people's discolorations. And I'm using a patting motion with my finger to really kind of press it in instead of a rubbing motion because I don't want to yank the skin. I just want it to sink in evenly. Okay, I am all color corrected, so now let's try out this foundation first. Then I'm going to go into the bronzer and then finally the blush. I am going to try the concealer just to see if it's enough for my under eyes, but I have a feeling I may have to dip back into my go-to favorite, my Armani Beauty concealer, which is more of a high coverage concealer. Now here's what the foundation looks like, and it's a bit smaller than an iPhone, and I love how compact it is. Now let's look at the inside. Here we have the highlighters on top and the blush tones, and then on the other side we have the foundations. So I'm going to go into the lightest foundation first and check that out, and I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of blending. So let me show you what this looks like on my skin. See how light the lightest shade is? And then the next lightest shade is right here. Here's the first lightest and then the second lightest. So I think if I mix these two together, we'll have a shade that's compatible with my skin tone. And using a BK Beauty foundation brush, this is 109, I'm going to mix these two together. Now this is where I was kind of concerned because I was like, if I'm going to be mixing, won't I need a mixing tray? But apparently not. Watching other creators, it looks like they're just going straight into this palette and mixing from it. So that's what I'm doing too. You need to go in with your fingers and work it in. So far, it's a nice creamy coverage, but it's a little light. But I do love the coverage. It's supposed to be a medium coverage, and I would say it's exactly medium. It's kind of bordering on high coverage and medium coverage, somewhere in between. And you really don't have to use a lot of it to get a good coverage and a nice tone. That looks really beautiful. I'm actually kind of surprised here. My palette looks a mess. So if you are one of those people that doesn't like the messy palettes, think about that before you get it. Okay, I think I used a little too much, so I'm gonna spread it out over here. I think I used a little too much of the light shade actually. Let me darken it up. So I'm just going back into the darker shade. Part of me wants to try a little bit darker still because I look so pale. Even though I love like the formula. The formula is beautiful. But I feel like maybe I look a little too pale. Let me try a darker shade. Here's what the darker shade looks like. And I think this is gonna be a little bit warm for me. But I think if I mix it in, it should be okay. So let's try that. So I'm laying this over. Oh yeah, that's better. It's a little yellow still, but it's better. I'm impressed with the coverage. And actually, it does feel a bit heavy on the skin, but I think it's because I put like 2 coats of it now. I'm gonna even it out and I'll be right back. Okay, now that I've evened everything out, I'm really loving the coverage. Now let's try a bit of concealer. I am going to say though, that I'm not so sure I really miss having an under eye concealer with this foundation here. It's actually pretty good coverage. Using a BK Beauty brush, this is not their concealer brush. I lost their concealer brush and I just ordered a new one. So I will link it down below, the actual concealer brush, which is amazing, but this brush is great in the meantime. Look at this palette, it looks such a mess. But I'm gonna go into the second lightest color and see how we do with that. Oh wow, this is pretty nice. Okay, so this is the side that I put concealer on from the palette, and this is the no concealer side. And I really like this side, so I'm gonna do the same to this side. Now that I'm done with my concealer and my foundation, let's try a bronzer shade. So I think I'm gonna use this cooler brown tone starting off for the contour, and maybe I'll use this for bronzer. Let's see. Oh, that's really nice. I love this tone. This is a great cool tone. That is really nice. Sculpting under my jawline too. Wow, this is cool. I like this. It's literally cool and it's cool. I'm loving this contour. I want to see if I can get the bronzer to work well too. Okay, I'm gonna use the same brush and try this bronzer. It might be, whoa. Whoa. Okay, hold on. That's a little too much there. Let's try to spread it out. I am very impressed by the pigmentation though. Wow. I think this can be worked out really well, and how evenly it spreads out is very impressive. Oh yeah, it's working pretty well. It's blending out really nicely. I feel like I need to use the warmth of my fingers, but that's really nice, don't you think? It's really pretty. Let's do the other side. Okay, one thing I'm noticing with the bronzer is you have to be really careful because the bronzer's formula is kind of soft. So if you blend too long, you'll blend it away. So you need to be sort of very light-handed when you blend, but otherwise I love the bronzer and I love the contour, love the foundation so far. Everything seems to be working really well together. Let's try the blush now. Okay, so for the blush, I think I'm gonna do 2 shades. I'm really interested in this one and this one. Oh, that's really pretty. Wow. I think I'm just gonna pat this on and not use a blush brush. So pretty, wow. Really pretty. I think I can go a little darker. Almost has kind of like a highlight tone to it. I know it's not a highlight, but it's really pretty. You know, I think I'm gonna just do 1 blush tone. I'm very happy with this one. Okay, so let me swatch the other ones for you. I'm gonna put that swatch in within the video so you can see. I'm also gonna show you the highlight tones. I'm gonna use this highlight tone next to finish up. You can barely see it. It's just a little bit of a sheen. Yeah, I can barely see it. Oh yeah, there you go. So this is just a cream highlighter. It's supposed to be super subtle, but I think you can kind of see it, right? It's really pretty. Now I am going to use a powder to set everything, and you're completely okay using a powder. Makeup Forever recommends using their HD powder. I am using the Charlotte Tilbury powder, and I'm going to link it down below. Everything I use today will be linked down below. Okay, you guys, so here is the final look. I have added a gloss that I've linked down below as well. This is one of my favorite glosses. Now, as far as the palette itself, I was super impressed by both the tone, the blendability, and the coverage of the foundation portion of the palette. I was also very surprised that I could use their concealer with no issues, and I didn't miss my Armani Beauty concealer. Also, the blush is a tone that I would typically use. I loved the blendability of the contour, it was very impressive, and I also loved the bronzer. It wasn't too orange and it wasn't too cool. It blended in seamlessly. You do have to be a little careful with blending it away because it's just so creamy and blendable. The actual foundation, blush, and bronzer do not feel heavy on my face in the least, even though I applied close to 3 coats of it. So that's amazing there. And close up, my makeup looks pretty much flawless, at least to my eye. Now, the big question, can I use this for traveling? Will I miss my usual foundation that I bring along with me, my concealer, my endless blushes, my endless bronzer sticks? No, I think that this palette is perfect for traveling, perfect when you go away for even a weekend and you just want the lightest, most travelable, compact makeup. You can take this palette. I did not experiment with it as an eyeshadow or lipstick or anything else, but the fact that it can replace a couple bottles of foundation, a couple blushes, and at least 2 bronzer sticks is enough for me. 100% recommend this palette. It performs just like it says it's going to perform, beautifully. The finish is amazing. I don't think you'll be disappointed with this palette. It is a bit less approachable for a beginner. It's important to realize that you will have to blend the foundations out. Likely you won't be able to use just one foundation. You'll have to figure out your individual match, your skin tone match. So think about that. Also, if you are someone who uses a lot of foundation, this palette will not last you as long as one of your foundation bottles. That all needs to be figured in. But as far as portability, the beauty of the look of this palette, and the value for your money, because you are essentially replacing so many products with one palette, it can't be beat. This is a great palette for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what else you want me to do a video on. Please tell me if you have any all-in-one palettes that you highly recommend. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Here comes another video of mine that I'd love for you to watch. Bye.